So it seems that one of the Romanian seasonal workers, which went to Germany, has died of the pandemic. Who could have foreseen this? Now, I want to make it absolutely clear. I do not blame the German farmers. If the German farmer wants to find cheap labor, that's his business. If the German farmer wants to find labor that he doesn't pay at all, that sounds like a German problem, not a Romanian problem. If the German government wants to allow people to come from abroad in order to work during the midst of a pandemic, that's also the German government problem. If people from Romania want to go to Germany in order to work, that is fine. Like, I understand if people who are unemployed and desperate during this time want to make a buck. What I do not understand is if the Romanian government is telling people to stay in their homes, if they are telling that there is a pandemic out there which can kill you, so you need to stay in your house, like, do not go to work. You are not allowed to go to work. Why is it that when Germany demands cheap labor, the Romanian government puts buses to bus people around to the airport and send them all the way into Germany? Is there not, is the social distancing going to resume after a commercial break? What is the reason and the rationale then that you stop the economy if you're going to make these exceptions? I understand that for certain essential businesses, people are allowed to travel and they're still allowed to work. But I don't think the asparagus picking industry is Romania's essential business. I do not think that picking fruits in the United Kingdom is Romania's essential business. When is the United Kingdom and Germany going to send people over here to pick our fruits and vegetables? But I suppose that's too much capitalism to ask for, because I understand when poor countries send people into Germany and France and the United Kingdom, that is capitalism. You're a communist all of a sudden? Are you with a hammer and say, or you go for Bernie Sanders? But when the poor countries are producing their own product and they're competing on the market with the rich products, oh, that's too much capitalism. That is way too much cap. That is far right. So we need to insert 1001 regulations to completely destroy the underdeveloped poorer countries so they cannot compete. Because that's the thing. Like, if you look at the regulations that are now for the automobile industry that are coming from the EU, rich companies can afford to have these regulations. But if you were to apply them 100 of years in the past, when the companies were just getting up, when Volkswagen was just starting, it would have put it out of a business. Because that's the way humanity functions economically. You have a company that pollutes a lot in the beginning, right? It does damage, not very productive. But the more people invest in it, the more people buy the product, the more then the company can afford to install all the filters and make sure that it has all the regulations and all of that. It takes time. You just cannot hold industries that are still developing at the same standards as already developed industries. And I'm pretty sure the people at the European Union know that, which is why they keep regulating every, there are so many regulations when it comes to the farming industry. But anyway, I shouldn't go into that because this is a video of another topic. My favorite subject in the world is there are jobs that people would not do. So you're telling me that in countries with more than 80 million people, you cannot find a couple of jobs in order to do those jobs. Just how fucked up are those jobs? So I had to ask a couple of Romanians that did go and worked in Germany. And I had to ask some Germans as well. And I found out how fucked up they are. It's unbelievable. Like, if you were to put an immigrant to do these jobs, the NGOs would flip. They would have a heart attack. They would have aneurysms. So let me tell you how it's like, okay? You get bussed around by the company to a barrack. And that's if you're lucky, because usually you might be bussed into a container housing. Kind of cold outside, but you're not going to get your private space, by the way. Let's not delude yourself. It's literally just a place with bunk beds over bunk beds, and everyone stays together. And then the work starts. The work shift is between 10 hours to 12 hours a day. You have work quota in order to fulfill. And you're lucky if they even provide you with water. And there is usually like one potty for the entire group that they have to share. Now, you usually, from what I understand, and again, like this is just take it with a grain of salt because this is information I have from third party sources. You get €9 per hour. But here's the catch, the dotted line. Out of those €9, €6 you have to pay for the accommodations. I mean, obviously the container housings are expensive. You know, you can't just not charge people for having the privilege to sleep on the job. And then you also have to pay for your meal if you so desire. The transportation is free, as I understand it. That is from the kindness of the Deutsche people. And then you have to do this back-breaking labor for 10 to 12 hours a day. If it rains, doesn't matter. If it snows, doesn't matter. If the weather is not nice, doesn't matter. You have to do it, right? You have quotas. So that's the job that a lot of people don't want to do. So like what? €4 an hour for 10 to 12 hours a day? Non-stop? Sleeping in a container house? Washing yourself with a hose? Yeah. Well, you know, like if people weren't willing to go to Germany to do it, do you know what would happen? They would have to improve the working conditions. I know, horrible, right? Like, can you imagine that? Improve the working conditions. Oh. Not to mention, maybe raise the pay a little bit. Is asparagus really needed though? Like, are people unable to live without asparagus? Because I understand if it was potatoes. You know, like potatoes are very nourishing. I would understand it if it is grain. Grain is important. You need to make the bread. But is the world falling apart if 1 year the asparagus is not going to be harvested? I'm legitimately curious. You know, like can they not take a loss? I'm constantly lectured by by people that have economic aptitude. It's like, why do you not save money for rainy days? You need to save money for rainy days. Well, aren't the German farmers saving money for rainy days? But again, like I don't have anything against the German farmer. You know, I do not have anything against the German government. What I do have is the Romanian government, which didn't even negotiate the contracts. Like, all right, you want people during a pandemic, fine, pay them more. Pay them more because now it's a hazard. It's a biohazard. It's a risk hazard. You need to pay them at least €3,000. You're going to provide them free housings. You're going to make sure that they social distance while they do this. If they get sick, you're going to give them treatment. You know, like that would have been normal. That would have been perfectly normal. But like the Romanian government does not even want to negotiate. Like that what blows my mind. It's like, okay, you want some people. Because we want to maintain good relationships with Germany, we're going to provide you some people. But what is this nonsense that they can't return home if they want to? What is this nonsense that you can terminate their contracts 24 hours in advance? You know, like, all of these nonsenses should have been ironed out because now Romania is actually in a strong position to negotiate. Like for once in human history, the Romanian government was legitimately in a strong position to negotiate. I bet your ass that Turkey would have negotiated if they would have done something like this with the Turks. They're not. They don't care about the Romanian people. That's my point. Because a lot of people don't understand. It's like, well, V, if people want to work, why stop them? It's like, yeah, but they could have given them some decent contracts that would have made this worthwhile. It's a very dangerous job. Look, a person died. A person died. It's a very dangerous job. When I would have gone to my microbiology lab, I would get 25% extra because of the hazard pay. Shouldn't these people get hazard pay? I think it's kind of hazardous. Like, if this person had the disease, I'm pretty sure everyone in the container housing with him had it. And even if let's say, they change things around and now it's not a container housing. Now they have their own private little things and they segregate and they have like the best hazmat suits available. Well, when they went in the bus in my country and they drove around, isn't the person infected driving around in the bus? When he is in the airplane, did he wear a hazmat suit to not contaminate the rest of the plane? These are important questions, are they not? Like, why do I even bother? You know, like someone in the comment section said, oh, look, V is spurging out and he's having a squeaky voice. It's disappointing. That's the whole thing, you know? Like, I look at the people in charge that I pay their salaries with my hard-earned taxes. And they don't give a shit about Romanian people at all. At all. And then, like, you also have to ask, it's like, why are you shutting down the economy then? Like, if you legitimately do not care about people, Just let the economy go, and you know, let people decide who wants to stay home and who wants to go to work. If that is the you can't just why is there one rule for the people in Romania that have to follow and another rule for Germany? Like, can you not have the same rules across the board? That's what really bothers me and boggles my mind. Either you don't care about the people and you let the economy, or you care about the people and you tell them to stay at home, but you cannot mix and match. And again, it's like essential business. I completely agree. Some businesses are essential, you can't shut them down. But Germany's asparagus industry isn't essential for Romania. Or maybe we are going to get some free asparagus, huh? Like, if we get free asparagus, then yeah, I'm going to I'm going to walk back on what I said, and I'll be like, oh well, we got free asparagus, so therefore. Like, I bet, I'm willing to bet money on this, that if there is, heaven forbid, ever in the future, doesn't matter when, a famine in Romania, Germany isn't going to help. I have this weird feeling in my bone, this weird tingling sensation, this spidey sense, if you will, that if there is ever going to be some major famine, I'm going to expect the same help Germany gave to Italy during the recent times. Well, you know, I guess this kind of shows, like, what is the country you can rely on if you're having bad problems, right? Maybe you should be on Romania's side. You know what's funny? Do you know which is the only country that legitimately helped Romania out during this time the most? Turkey. Turkey is the country that legitimately helped Romania out the most. They gave us medical equipment. Very few people talk about it. It's kind of funny. Romania has a really good relationship with Turkey. I think, like, when you read history, the Ottoman Empire is the only empire that fucked Romania the least. The least. Like, the biggest one would be the Russians. The second one is the Germans when they were conquering Europe. But the least is the Ottoman Empire. Like, the only problem with the Ottoman Empire is that you would sign a contract with them and they would actually respect it. They would actually follow the contract to the letter until the Sultan changed. The moment the Sultan changed, well, everything was anew. Because, believe it or not, like, this is something that is an invention from the West. I should make an entire video on it, but I'll just end with this, okay? Be careful, because this is really interesting. Like, this blew my mind when I found out. This is a Western invention. So, they would say King Richard of England, not England of King Richard. And you think, like, well, that doesn't mean anything, right? But what it really does mean is that when you look at a country like the Ottoman Empire, it was the other way around. It was the Ottoman Empire of Bayezid, or Muhammad II, right? And when the Sultan died, the whole rule, the whole system could have been reformed. Meanwhile, in England and in other European countries, it wasn't like that. Because the ruler was beheld to the kingdom. So that the idea was that God is above, and God sends one person, he anoints one person to be the ruler of the land. So when the ruler of the land dies, nothing majorly changes, because God is just going to anoint someone else to rule. It was like the institution always exists. That is very interesting. Some philosophy for some other time. But yeah, so one person died because of it. It's horrible, completely predictable. I'm pretty sure the government was aware that it's going to happen. Like, and if they weren't aware, that's even worse. It's like, right, during the middle of a pandemic, without testing people, like, none of them got tested, being bussed around, flown in a plane, sent to Germany in order to, you know, stay in these barracks with GPS attached to their legs so they can't infect the proper German folk. And on top of that, they can't even choose their employer. Like, they're going to be assigned, you're going to work with this company, you're going to work with that company. I don't know, man. Again, like, I understand why people do it. You know, good luck telling a person that makes less than $150 per month that they shouldn't go and break their backs for $1,000. But the Romanian government just, I don't feel that they're actually caring about the people. None whatsoever. They could have negotiated some good contracts with this. It was a time to step up and gain some respect. That is, of course, if the politician didn't get bribed and receive some bribes under the table, which is also quite possible. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.